Nancy, on the Republican side, Speaker Paul Ryan, you cover Congress, said some extraordinary things about Donald Trump, said his comments about the judge in the case were textbook racism. What's your sense of the feeling on the Hill among Republican leaders about their party's nominee?
I think what they have discovered is that it's much more effective to sort of air their criticisms about him in public than to try to influence him behind the scenes. That nudging behind the scenes clearly doesn't work. If anything, it provokes him. So what they've decided, and it's not just Paul Ryan, but it's Mitch McConnell as well, they're kind of airing their dirty laundry, which is something that these Republican leaders have never done in the past, especially Mitch McConnell. But they've decided maybe if he hears enough voices, for example, saying it's a bad idea to talk about the judge, then that will influence him. And we've seen that it does have an impact. He has stopped talking to the judge about the judge that much, not because people were telling him, behind closed doors he had to stop, but because he heard enough voices from his own party saying it out in the public.
And I think, off the Hill, John, he's going to continue to have some issues. The fact that you asked Corey Lewandowski, is he going to apologize? And he said there's nothing to apologize for. That right there, I think, is enough for certain people who may have considered voting for him out in the country to say, well, then I can't. I spent time this week in Las Vegas talking to voters, and I was struck that there were actually a few younger Hispanic people I spoke with who said he makes some valid points. And there are elements of his life that I find admirable, but he's racist, and I can't vote for him. And I think that will continue to hit, be a ceiling of some kind for him with certain Americans who will say, you said something wrong and you didn't apologize for it. In society, when you make a wrong, you apologize. If he's going to refuse, that's going to be a non-starter for a lot of people.
I think there's an extent to which Republican leaders might be fooling themselves about the kinds of man they're dealing with in Donald Trump. The idea that you can sort of pressure him and urge him to just be different, I think underestimates this is just who he is. Donald Trump is someone who plays on racial prejudice and who plays on racial suspicion to get votes. I'm reading a couple books about Donald Trump, because that's what you do, I guess, and it's striking to see that in the late 80s and early 90s, he's talking the exact same way. This is not sort of a lark. This is just who Trump is. And so this attempt to say, well, maybe if you just stop saying the prejudiced things could be a little better. No, Donald Trump says prejudiced things. That's who he is.
One of the big questions, I think, coming out of this situation in Florida is what people take away from disruptive and chaotic events around the world. In the past, we've seen situations where this has helped candidates who have a bit of normalcy about them, a bit of status quo, a bit of confidence in terms of their ability to be commander-in-chief. This time around, however, we saw in San Bernardino, that helped Donald Trump. Paris helped Donald Trump within the context of the GOP primary. It remains to be seen whether that plays out within the general election as well.